Ladies and gentlemen, Samantha Clarke.
It's really weird going off and coming back on very quickly. Okay, before I start, can I have a volunteer from the audience who thinks they're good at puzzles? Anyone want to come up? Please. Okay. Hey. Okay, so this is a bit unfair, but I'm going to give you this. You have 15 minutes to solve it. Good luck. Actually, no. Actually, I just want you to see if you can tell me whose does this belong to. If you can do it in 15 minutes, I will buy you a drink.
Who's this belong to?
Indeed. Okay. Okay. Well, just go through it at your own pace, and I'm going to talk over the top. Sorry? I'll just have a look, have an explore, and see what you can find out from it. Okay, so yes, I work at Coventry University at the Disrupt Media Learning Lab, and I am a bit of a chimera. As previously mentioned, I like D&D. I am a researcher, I make things, and I teach. And so some of the things I'm going to talk about today is this idea of curiosity. But before I get to curiosity, sort of the why curiosity, what I want to just pick up is some of the speakers were talking about experiences yesterday. And I think that's really, really interesting in terms of when we talk about experience and engagement. Well, what are we really talking about? We're talking about emotion and the feelings behind something. So what I would really like is for us to really start having those conversations about forget the mechanics and forget the frameworks and the methodologies and all of that stuff, put it in a box somewhere, quite literally. And that let's assess why we're trying to get our players into that sense, that emotional sense, what do we want them to feel? Because if you look at games, a lot of games take their inspiration from traditional media. So theatre, films, books, all of these things, they make us feel a plethora of emotions. There's no one emotion that's attached to sort of a film or a theatre experience. They take you up and down, and I think it's those complexities of emotions that we need to explore. Let's see if this works. Haha! But why curiosity? Okay, so because I work in education, curiosity, for me, is the white whale. It's the sort of the driving force behind knowledge. And as you can see, Dr. Stephen Rees, some really interesting research about human motivations. And there we go, curiosity directly attributed to knowledge. And I like it. Continue. And that, I think it's really interesting that curiosity is the experience when confronted with the unknown. Okay, and you can have good curiosity or bad curiosity, but it drives us forward. And why is that important? Well, the problem is that knowledge now is at the touch of a button. My students come in, and if I want them to do a needs assessment or look at something, they can just go on Google. And Julia, who mentioned earlier, Bloom's taxonomy, which at this lowest level is the kind of the comprehend. Okay, I can Google this thing and I can look at it, and I might be able to recite this information, but it's not true deep, meaningful learning, which is what we want to achieve. And I think this sums pretty much up the students at the moment, because they're not interested. Some of them, most of the students that go to university they're bored, they're disengaged, they don't know what they're doing or why they're there. And it's a real problem, so how do we motivate them? So a lot of my research and the stuff that I'm really interested in is sort of looking more at live action experiences. So what happens when we get together and be in a room and play together. And I've worked doing educational escape rooms. And what I've taken from that research is that I love this idea of what happens when you get in and, you can feel something, and, what is this? Ha, 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 ha. But I don't necessarily like the timer mechanic on it, because actually that in education is quite, it limits, because if you want them to explore all of the things you put in, sometimes the timer is not a good option. But it's that idea, so again, some of the other conversations, the idea of choice about what they're doing, but also about this idea of perceptual curiosity, which I think is really interesting. So in the 1960s, a researcher called Dr. Berlin, he did a lot of research about curiosity, and he found that there were these kind of two initial areas of curiosity. So you had your perceptual curiosity, which is the curiosity to the unknown, the novel, the sort of the environment. And then you have epistemic curiosity, which is the desire for knowledge. And again, I want my students to be this, but they're never going to be this automatically, or you might get one or two, but it's so rare that, we are talking unicorns here. But when I saw what happens when you have this escape room experience, they want to touch the thing. It all becomes about perceptual curiosity. All of a sudden it's like, there's a thing. What's this thing? Oh, this is interesting. Oh, there's a puzzle here. And the idea being is that if you can get them with perceptual curiosity, then eventually, if you've designed it well enough, you should hook them into the epistemic, hopefully. She says. Now, who has been nommed on by a child ever, been in the vague vicinity of babies or children, or, watched, and you have this. This is our state of being. So we do this as infants, as children. We play with the toys, and we touch and we feel and we explore with every sense that we have, and then we lose that as we get older. But why? Why do we lose that? It's not that our intrigue dampens. It's just we stop looking in this kind of way of learning. And I think that we need to bring, maybe not the, because unless it's cake, and cake is fine for any occasion. But we need to bring more of this back into education for adults, because, it's these experiences that that we notice now with, so if you look at just general game industry, what's going on, it is all about those experiences. We're moving away slightly from the sort of the more online spaces in terms of just it's just those conversations, but the rise of escape rooms, the rise of interactive theatre, and all of the really interesting stuff that's coming out in sort of entertainment games is all focusing on these experiences, the touch, smell, the getting together with real people. Okay, So this is a company which I've taken a lot of my inspiration from, and they're fantastic. This is an entertainment games company called the Mysterious Package Company. As you can see, what they do is they do mailed experiences. And what they are is basically the most exciting thing in the world, because look, you've got props, you've got theatre props, you've got a story, you've got puzzles, it's got absolutely everything. And it comes mailed to you in the post in a box, which is nailed shut. I love it. I think it's just great. How exciting is that? Okay, maybe it's just me, but I was really excited to get it. And I knew it was coming. But the thing is that it's this blend of disciplines, which is really, really interesting to me, because it's not just games and gamification. You do have that narrative, the literary You've got the theatre elements in there, that mystery, that curiosity that's coming through. And why not take some examples and try and replicate it? So I have a cunning plan, yes. So what we tried to do was replicate this idea for one of our master's level modules for sports science. And this was, so basically we structured it so that we set up a fake company, several fake companies actually, and we mailed the students several packages over several weeks. And they all contained lots of different things. It was a transmedia experience, so it had USB files and various things in it. We'll get to that in a minute. And what was really interesting was that these packages, when they were arriving for the students, they thought that they were coming from these real companies. And the idea behind what they had to do was piece together that information that they were getting from lots of different sources and the different media that they were getting, and then try to, they had to make a assessment of a fake athlete. They had to do some recommendations. And one of the funniest things that we did, so I worked with a professor of sports science with this, and he is an expert in all things drugs. Fantastic. So he did. He made up a nutritional supplement, which was just dextrose. But one of the interesting things is if you're going to do this, it's be careful what you put in the packages, because the students will try said drug and then report placebo effects of it actually enhancing their performance. So interesting. Ethical? Who knows? But some interesting questions there. But it was really interesting that they found it was a real experience. And actually, the meaningful research that came out from it was this. So it's so good, it's applied, it's real life. You can very easily have that in real life. When you've got to look at someone's data, analyze them, and give them feedback. I think it made the coursework look a bit more interesting. When you see the packages, everyone was sort of like, what on earth is this? And then you open it, and what is going on? So I had them at Curiosity, and I was like, yes! And that's basically what I'm trying to look at, is can we get it so that this drives them to experience more? And I think that there is a lot to be said in that research, and that what we're finding was that vocational skill, or those vocational skills that they thought were coming out of it, were really important. It was giving them a real life experience. This one, so this is just a prototype that I made for this conference, just to show that what I mean. So this is actually a real World War II gas mask. This whole thing only cost about £30. It doesn't have to be expensive. And I know that some of you only work in the digital field, maybe asking sort of, well, how do I replicate that? But actually, it doesn't matter whether it's just this. You can do a lot of really interesting perceptual curiosity stuff in a digital space as well. And the Mysterious Package Company do. They have, so even when they sign up to the website, they have a series of mechanics that works in that digital space. So it can be done even if you don't want to do a fully physical thing. So I'm going to stop there because I think I've probably gone over, but thank you.